Hey, everybody, this is Jack Baldwin with Baldwin Architectural Group, and it's 3 o'clock. It's Friday. It's time for Ask an Architect. We're very excited about today's show because we have a special guest that we're going to introduce you to in just a second. First of all, I want to talk about our topic. We're going to be covering 3D renderings and architectural visualizations. We've actually got a project that we're going to be working on together that we will be discussing. So we're going to get to some questions that you might have about renderings and visualizations. But first, we have a special guest. Joining us is a young lady named Megan Janssen. So Megan is a senior from Decatur High School, and she just won our Aspiring Architect contest. Hey, Megan, are you there? How are you?
Hey, yes, thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here today, and yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're honored to have you on the show today. So, for those who don't know, we held a contest called the Aspiring Architect Contest. It went from March 17th and wrapped up a week ago, Friday, on April 17th. And the idea was that Megan was among the many students that got sent home this past month. So, we were trying to think of something fun for students to do with their time off or time at home. And so we held this contest. We broke it up into age groups, and then we had a grand prize winner. So Megan was our grand prize winner. She won by with her tree house that she submitted, and got the most votes, most likes on Facebook and Instagram combined. So she might have done a lot of campaigning too, but her design was awesome. And we're going to go through her design. And part of the prize that Megan won was a rendering of her design. So that's part of why we're talking about renderings and visualizations today, because we're going to take this design we're about to show you and turn it into a full scale rendering visualization that one of our designers is going to do for Megan. So we're going to talk about our project, and we're going to talk about what that looks like. So Megan, you're the winner of the Aspiring Architect contest. You're graduating from Decatur High School this year. You're a senior, is that right?
Yes, that is all correct.
And then what are your plans in the fall?
I plan on going to UGA, University of Georgia, and majoring in landscape architecture. So I'm very excited for that.
Awesome. So you're on your way to Athens, which
Yes.
some of us around here are not too excited about. We're Georgia Tech fans. So we think all the architecture should be taught there. Just kidding. But landscape architecture is a little bit different than the architecture we did. You designed something that's really a tree house, so it's got some landscape elements to it. But what got you interested in landscape architecture in particular?
Well, mostly I have a special needs brother, and he has cerebral palsy. And my family would go on a lot of trips during breaks from school, and we would take these trips to national parks. And when we were at these parks in the last 6 years or so, we realized that a lot of them were not handicap accessible or ADA compliant,
Yeah.
and uh, such as Arches, Sequoia, and Arcadia were some of the main ones that were not as good. But Yellowstone and Grand Canyon did an amazing job being more compliant, and I just want to, as a landscape architect, design parks and spaces to be more ADA compliant. So that's really what got me into it and interested.
Well, that's really cool. So speaking of family, so you're one of you said you're a triplet, right? So
Yes.
there's two others that were born the exact same day as you, right?
Yes. Yep.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. You don't meet very many triplets.
Yeah.
And so and I think we also have your father on the phone. Did he want to say hi to us real quick?
Sure. Yeah, I'm real proud of Megan, and I'm glad she had this opportunity. Yeah, she's one of my first three, and then I also have a younger daughter that's 2 years younger. So we're a family of six that's kind of hiding out together right now during
Right.
COVID-19.
Well, we sure do appreciate both of you guys jumping on, and it's kind of cool that there's some family story, some family connection to what got you interested in, particularly in landscape architecture. So that's pretty neat. What else about architecture? I actually want to pull up your design here and just talk about your, how you got interested in this, what got you going, where you got your inspiration. So we're going to kind of talk about it. So this is the first my favorite hand sketch drawing that you did. And this kind of looks like it took a lot of time and attention to detail for you to put together. So tell us, what was inspiring you? Like, what got you going about a tree house, Megan?
Yeah. So since I was little, I always would watch things on TV about tree houses. Treehouse Masters was one of the TV shows actually that kind of got me into it. I would always see the cool designs that they would build on there.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to create something kind of like that. And also, I looked a lot on Pinterest for inspiration on the inside of how I wanted it to look. So,
Yeah. And I love that you put a spiral staircase to a rooftop deck, man. I would love to have that in my house. Way to
yeah.
sneak away right in the middle of the house. You got this little spiral staircase. You go sneak away up to the roof and look at the stars. And so we also wanted to point out your design. So here's what this looks like. What app did you use to take it from this hand drawn floor plan to this design here? How did you do that?
I mostly used SketchUp, which
Okay.
is a rendering, sort of app you can
Yeah.
use to create amazing designs. I also used some Photoshop as well.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Photoshop. It's always there when you need it, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about, so it's a tree house, and you said that you some of the shows you liked got you interested in tree houses. I think you wanted this one to be in Hawaii in particular. Is that right?
Yes, Hawaii, yeah.
So
I've actually
apart
never
from,
been to Hawaii, but
okay,
I
that was going to be my
wanted to
next
be.
question. So yeah, why Hawaii? Is this wishful thinking and dreaming that maybe you'll get to build this house in Hawaii one day, or what?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've my mom has been to Hawaii, but she's the only one in my family that has traveled there, and she
Yeah.
always talks about it. So I guess that kind of got me inspired to put it in there.
Yeah, if somebody won't shut up about how great Hawaii is, then no.
Yeah.
Um, so what about this picture here? This drawing. What do we see here?
Yeah, I tried to make a perspective sketch with the infinity pool, and then
Yeah.
that's like the porch with leading to the inside, and those are like sliding doors, and then the torches.
Okay, and then this is what the rendering of that drawing looks like, right? From
Yeah,
the
just
outside.
from a different angle, but yeah.
And so what we have here is an infinity pool going around the treehouse. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so here we're in the kitchen. And I like that you don't have any cabinet doors here. I like were you wanting to leave it like that? Is that how you designed it, so you could just get to your plates and bowls and dishes easily?
Yeah, I kind of liked the openness layout, and I wanted it to be the whole floor plan wanted to be very what would you disconnected in the space.
Yeah. Well, it is open. I like this design. I like the concept a lot. You've got your stairs obviously right here to get up to your rooftop. But then you got your fireplace nearby. You've got your living room and sitting area. You got your kitchen real close by. Like the whole place is opened up. You got a nice big, I love these big L-shaped couches. So it looks like you picked some cool furniture. Fortunately, we got a furniture guy on the phone with us today, James, who's going to be talking to us. So he'll appreciate your furniture selections as well. But yeah, I love that you got a little smart TV. So you did put some good little touches in your design to give it some more realistic feeling, didn't you?
Yeah, I try to actually before this I was considering interior design for a long
Oh, really?
time. So I was always interested in also doing the inside of places.
Well, Melissa Benko was on last week with us. I don't know if you heard that interview, but good interior designer who was talking to us about that very thing. So architects and interior designers get to work together quite a bit. So who knows? Maybe you'll still get to have some input on that. I like this. This is probably where you use your Photoshop. Now, how high up did you want this to be in the trees, Megan? Because this looks like it's sitting right in the trees. What were you thinking when you designed it?
I mean, I was thinking that it would be pretty high up because I wanted it. I created that porch, and then the porch on the roof, like the whole wraparound. that people could go outside and, have a view of the beach, maybe coast of Hawaii, or
Right.
the trees, all that scenery.
Yeah. So I'm curious what this is going to look like when we actually render it. How high, like we'll be able to do a pan up and down and across the trees and see what it looks like to
Yeah,
climb all the way up to where your house is up in the sky.
yeah, for sure.
So tell me a little bit. We talked a little bit about what got you into landscape architecture, but you started obviously taking some classes at Decatur
Yes.
High School for architecture. So what drew you into taking those classes to begin with? What got you interested?
Well, when I was little, my parents kind of instilled in me to play with Legos.
Mm,
So I was always designing and building and creating with my siblings.
yeah,
We were always building new things in our giant Lego city. I probably played with Legos for the longest time.
yeah,
And really, that's kind of what got me interested. And then from there, I slowly, after I took my first architecture class, my sophomore year of high school, I just was like so interested in it and fascinated by everything I'd learned that year. I decided that I would continue to take that class. So I took it my junior and senior year. And this is actually, well, it was my last year in that class. So
yeah.
I'm sad.
Well, I still love to play with Legos. I mean, you don't outgrow Legos,
Yeah.
and I think that's great though. That I think playing and you've probably found out that once you could build something, it felt very empowering, but it also kind of taps into that creativity. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, what other experiences in architecture have you had?
Well, right now, at the beginning of my senior year, we were able to, at our school, do a work-based learning program where we would take 2 classes maximum for about 10 hours a week instead of having those classes be 4 classes from the school. You could do an internship or have a job.
Yeah.
So I actually am involved currently in 2 internships right
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah. So I have one with the City of Decatur Public Works Department in their design, environment, and construction
Oh, cool.
field. So I've been able to gather like public government experience with planning, and it's been really cool to see how they evaluate plans within the city.
Oh, that is
Um,
really neat. So, you've already started your internship?
yeah, internships
All right.
pre-college, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Well,
she was able to start in in August, and so she's already been doing it for about 9 months now.
Yes.
oh,
And then
that's
she also
great.
got an architect or an internship with Plants Creative in landscape architecture. So
Yes.
Oh, cool. Megan, I think we're going to be working with you someday soon.
Yeah. Be
Well,
exciting.
yeah, well, those are some really big opportunities. We do have internship opportunities ourselves along the way. We just need to get to the point where we can really invest the time in the people who we want to include in those internships. So you never know. With this, the next time we do an aspiring architect, we might find our next intern, or we might find our next designer, or there may be some scholarships we're able to get to be a part of. We're hoping to dream big with the aspiring architect in general. But Megan, it sounds like you're already dreaming big. You've already made some really wise choices for your future by investing time in for you said 9 months now you've been doing some internship, and it sounds like you also got some personal inspiration. We love hearing those kind of stories where somebody sees a need or sees something that hits close to home, and then they decide to do something about it. And sounds like you've decided to do something about that by putting your design skills to the test and taking some creativity. And we love your approach to your project. We like that you think outside the box and dreaming real big with your project in a really gorgeous setting in Hawaii, up in the trees. We love it. And I want to say there were so many really good submissions we got, and it's hard to we can't spend enough time on all of the great designs that we saw. But Megan, we really do appreciate that you got people behind your project, and really people were raving about it. but this was a tough competition. So you really deserve a lot of credit for your hard work. So what we're going to do now. Yeah, thanks, Megan. And we're going to have a little Q&A towards the end, Megan. So I've got at least all of our team on the phone with us today on our webinar. So please use the chat window and I'll read out the questions that we get through the chat window from Megan. And Megan, I'll make sure that you get some good questions when we get towards the end so that we can explore your project a little bit more. But what I'd like to do now is actually walk everybody through what we're going to turn your project into. So these are some great renderings. You obviously put a lot of work into it. We have some tools that we use for some really high scale, high definition renderings that we're going to turn your project into. So to do that, I'm going to talk to James Knight. He's done some projects with us already. He's on staff with us for a little over a year. He's from Australia. He studied in Sydney. And so we're going to talk to him a little bit about a project that he did on St. Simon's. So this was a concept project. It's a residential development that we were basically pitching it. We didn't put this into production, but we did a lot of what you did, Megan. We actually took, these are hand drawn renderings here that James did as some concepts to get, kind of the layout for the houses to start with. But the idea was there's a plot of land down in St. Simon's that we wanted to see about developing. So we had a concept. Who knows, it might still happen. But we took the liberty to fully realize it into some visualizations. So James, we're going to talk to you about the renderings, and we're going to talk a little bit also about what that's going to look like for Megan's project. So to help us get started, though, I'm sure people have heard renderings before, but just it is a basic definition. What is a rendering exactly, James?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone, by the way.
Hi. Hey, James. Welcome.
And I just want to say we were super impressed with you, Megan. And it's great to see that you're finishing high school and you're going to college, and just the quality that has come out of your work already. I think you'll prove to be just super good and super talented once you get through your degree. And we're looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. You made a good impression, Megan.
Yeah. It's good to see. And I mean, the approach you took is not dissimilar to any of ours. We all start with sketches. So, I mean, the process that we took down for St. Simon's, it was a combined approach between Christopher, Richard, and myself. And we all did our sketches for different houses, and we came up with different floor plans, and we put it into our version of SketchUp, which we're using Revit. And, we went backwards and forwards to make sure we could find a floor plan that would work. And these sketches for us is like a huge starting point. So you can see that I even used Photoshop on this sketch as well. What I did is I sketched it out, and I put it on the scan. I brought it onto the computer for myself, and then put all these watercolor trees in the background to kind of give it some context so we could see what it would look like down there. So yeah, it's the same starting point as yours, and it's, we all render our drawings to try and visualize what we want to do.
Yeah, so rendering is it's just a fancy word for kind of displaying what the final product's going to look like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Back in the days, and Christopher, our lead architect, Christopher started our company. He's been architect since really the early 80s, and he'll tell you. In fact, I grew up watching him do this by hand, not just the drawings, but the watercolors and the backgrounds, and there's models, and there's a lot of arduous work that goes into it. But the rendering is just basically showing here's what it's going to look like once it's up and running. Today, we have computers, obviously, so we do a lot of this digitally. So here's what one of our renderings looks like. So we took that hand sketch that you had put together, James. And so what are we looking at here, this first rendering?
So basically, this is the same elevation that we were just looking at. It's the different floor plans, the different front facades of these buildings, and we've gone into Revit and we've modeled it up in Revit, and then we've thrown it into rendering software that we use called Lumion, and we're able to add the trees, add the grass, add the people, and give it some materiality so it looks as good as this.
Yeah. Megan, I'm excited because when I see Hawaii, when I look at this picture and I think about seeing Hawaii in a rendering in your treehouse, this with this type of realism, I think it's going to look really cool.
Yeah, I think it'll look great. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we'll have some people walking by, maybe some hula dancers, maybe there'll be a luau. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Let's we'll put on all the hula dances for you,
Yeah,
Jack.
I'm just putting more work on James's plate, basically. So, but James, there's a lot of attention to detail. Tell us a little bit about the process of getting to this point, though. I mean, how do you take a hand sketch and then, I mean, how long does this take you, and what's the process like getting to this point?
Oh, it can take quite a while. So we did a series of these photorealistic renders, and then we also did a video that goes with it. And it was only maybe 2 minutes long for the video. The video itself took about 2 days to render.
Yeah.
Each of the images, you know, maybe 20 minutes, because you have different settings, obviously, and I set it on the highest definition I possibly could. So yeah, it takes a while, but I mean, there's a lot of work that we do before this. So the sketches, you know, that's a really fun part of it, and that took a little bit of time. You know, we had quite a few sketches to go with it, and site plan sketches and things like that. And then we moved into the 3D modeling, which we do in Revit, and that probably took Richard and I, you know, 2 weeks maybe, going backwards and forwards with the floor plans before we even put it into our rendering software. Because you know, it's all about making something that would actually work down on St. Simon's, not just to come up with some pretty pictures, but we did full interiors on it. I think we fit 3 bedrooms into each of these designs.
Yeah.
Discussed what materials we were going to use. It was going to be clad. It had to fit in with the context of the area. You know, there's a lot of questions to kind of ask ourselves. And, you know, we even went down to St. Simon's, and that was part of this fun project as well. And we took a lot of photos of the site. So, you know, the trees and the bushes, was trying to really capture the feel of that area.
Yeah. And if you've been, I mean, like you said, you've been down with us to St. Simon's, James, but anybody who has visited, it's a great community. There's I grew up going here. My parents are both grew up on St. Simon's Island, so we grew up going back to these areas quite a bit. And the vegetation looks very realistic to what's there. The only thing missing is really the moss.
Yeah, hanging from the
St.
trees.
Simon's, you can't get away from all that moss, and I love it. It's just a beautiful moss hanging down everywhere you go. But yeah, the palms and the grass and even the little leaves. We want people to feel immersed in the potential environment when they look at these renderings. We want them to feel like that they could be there.
Yeah, that's for sure. So it's going to be interesting trying to capture Hawaii without Megan or myself being able to go to Hawaii. So
yeah, maybe that's what we need to do. Take a company trip down there just so we make sure that Megan's rendering looks very accurate. I think that,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sure.
What kind of cars would you have in front of your treehouse, Megan? We got a Range Rover. What do you? Looks like my kind of car right there, a Scion.
Well, maybe a Porsche or.
You have a Porsche?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that in there.
Okay, James, make sure you're taking notes. We'll make sure there's a Porsche in that rendering if we can drop one in there. What color?
Silver or black.
Silver. That's the only color for a Porsche, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So James, this is a little bit of a not quite a bird's eye view, but a little bit higher up view, looking down. Tell us about maybe the style of these houses. What do you call those? They're all a little different, but they're all a little bit the same too.
Yeah, it's kind of a modern farmhouse sort of feel that we were going for. Again, you know, it's the wood siding and it's the metal roofs that try and fit in with the neighboring houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are these to scale with these, like when we're looking at these renderings, are we seeing pretty much what a scale model would look like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because we were able to do it in Revit, you know, we made everything to code. Everything is the right size. You can see by the man standing on the porch in front of us and then the cars there, like everything works in proportion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're going to have like a big 20-foot tree at least. With a big tree house inside of it. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But
Or we'll just have a tree growing beside it. We'll get creative.
Yeah, we'll make it work somehow. The good thing about it is, we'll keep it quite conceptual to make making your visualization come to life. I'll probably talk to you quite a few times to see how you think things are progressing and how the look is kind of.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds fantastic. So.
Yeah, we're gonna treat you like our number one client, Megan. So James will do some creative sessions with you and get some ideas. We'll look at some perspectives. I like this one from the porch, so it really feels like you're there. I would love to see one of these kind of images looking out from your treehouse. Maybe that roof deck would be really cool. Having a big starry night or something to look over out from the that top of that spiral staircase on the roof might be a cool vantage point. And James, tell me who do we present these to, and like what are they good for? What does a rendering accomplish in the process?
We've used this on quite a few projects now, from residential to commercial. I think it's quite a good way to sell a project if you're looking for investors. I know currently we're using it on a few different projects, like a church that we're working on. We have pitched it for different commercial buildings, offices, and things like that. And I have used it on different residential facades, just to give the idea of what maybe a deck would look like or something like that. It can be anything really. It's a good way to get the concept across to the client on how it's going to feel.
Yeah. Well, and the challenge with any project is a lot of times we can dream up anything, and Megan's project's a good proof of that. The creativity, a lot of times it knows no bounds. In some of the projects that we saw submitted, there was some that were underwater architectural designs. There was everything from a medical center to a museum. Point being, like, we have big dreams. Everybody can come up with big dreams and envision and imagine things. What these renderings and visualizations do is kind of create some connective tissue from that dream and that vision into what it could look like in reality. The architect's job is then we start engaging with other engineers, site surveyors, civil people, structural people who actually help inform these projects so that we actually can answer the question of whether or not this building will stand. It may look amazing, but we want to design something that'll stand too. So these renderings do help us kind of get that visualization, get some scale, but also give us some feasibility along the way. We might be able to uncover some of the, during the process, uncover whether or not we need to make changes to the design. So this is a very useful tool. Also, being able to present this as a concept. So if you're selling a project, we do have developers. We have people who are looking at developments or communities, and they want to get funding or get backers or get support behind their concepts. And so this is a great way for a dreamer, somebody who has a vision for a project, to present what their concept may actually look like. So it goes a little bit from a big idea to something with a little bit of teeth on it. So we want this to be something that our clients can use to sell a project, get funding, get backing, get enthusiasm, answer questions, tweak the design, make it look the way they want it to look. In this case, this was how many houses do we put on the development, James? Was it 9?
Yeah, we were ambitious. We took 6 lots and we turned them into 9. And each of them was similar. They all had 3 bedrooms, I think 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, living. It was a fun project for sure.
Yeah, but it answers some questions for us. So when we ask ourselves, can we fit 9 buildings on this lot? Looks like yes, we can. What does it look like when you add trees and cars and roads? Well, does this look comfortable? I mean, it's cozy.
Exactly.
But you might want to like your neighbors.
Yeah, you have to like your neighbors for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is where we really have started to see some traction in our projects. We will be putting out some more of these renderings. Like James mentioned, there's a church that we're working on in North Georgia that it'll be really fun to see what those renderings look like as well.
Yeah.
So Megan, again, I can't wait to see your treehouse come to life a little bit more. What I'd like to do is I just open this up as we start to get toward the end of our webinar together. We do have some people on, and I would love for you guys to just send in your questions on chat. And it's mostly just for logistics. We can, if we had everybody talking at once, it'd be a little rough, but I'd love for those listening in, and welcome Frank. I see you joined us. It's good to see you again. I know we met back in February. But yeah, what questions do you guys have for Megan? And or James, and I'll go through the chat window and ask those out loud. So if you have a question, I'd love to hear it from you guys. While we're talking about that, Megan, did you have any questions for us about the renderings or about what James is going to do on your project?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of a question. I don't know.
Well, that's okay. Megan, I guess the other questions I had were just, what do you think when you see these renderings? What do you think this is gonna? How do you think this is gonna look on your project?
I think it's gonna look really just realistic and definitely something that I would not be able to do myself. So it's gonna look a lot cooler and put together. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Well, we also can't do it without you because you got the creative design behind it. So we're going to work as a team to make this look really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Maybe we can give you some insight into starting your process to rendering like this.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, and most of the things Richard and I learned was through, I think, YouTube. Googling it.
Yeah, YouTube is definitely helpful in learning anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I like YouTube how to tie my shoes sometimes. It's just like you find a video on anything. But yeah, and we put these out on YouTube with the hopes that people will get some questions answered along the way about architecture. Megan, maybe I'll ask you a question from your landscape architecture perspective, since you're an intern, and you're going to be studying soon. What would you do on the? How would you design the landscape if you're looking at this project? What's some of the things that you would do to start thinking about designing the landscape for a community like this?
I might, if there's space, maybe like a community pool in the neighborhood, or because I've seen those before, or some sort of fountain or water feature. I like those a lot, if you can tell.
Yeah.
Also, maybe just some different variety of plants. I really like green walls. I've been into those recently, like seeing different forms of ivy and stuff grow.
Oh yeah.
Really cool and sustainable. I've also liked lots of flowers and just color to add to the space and make it more living.
Yeah, well, how much do you take into consideration? I'm sure you have to think about the soil. So obviously South Georgia, St. Simon's Island has very different soil. So what kind of flowers can you put in your design?
I mean, personally, I'm not a plant expert, not yet.
Yeah, I'm probably putting you on the spot.
I have to learn
soon enough.
when I go to college, but I'm not completely sure. I would have to get back to you on that.
Well, I was just curious. I mean, it's just things that I wonder because I look at, the soil's so different down there than it is up here. So I wasn't trying to put you on the spot, but
I think a good rule of thumb would be you start with what's native to an area and then you work with that. Right.
So I did get a question for you, Megan. We've got Kaylin, who's our controller here with our company. Kaylin was asking, what would you like to see in your rendering other than the silver Porsche? So you kind of mentioned some things about the landscape and surrounding, but I guess we're all curious. Are there additional things you'd like to see? Maybe some certain types of vegetation or features? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, so when I was designing this, I was going to include a lot of fun features on the rooftop, but unfortunately my computer kind of failed me and said I had too many components. So I couldn't add any of them in, but I really wanted to include like a nice like couch area on top of the roof for people to sit with like a fire pit.
Oh
And
wow.
then I also wanted to have maybe a hot tub and then an outdoor kitchen with a grill up there.
Oh man, you're speaking my language.
Yeah, I'm feeling that.
Yeah, you know, just
This
this
is a real
tropical
luxury home.
paradise kind of entertainment stuff. So.
Yep.
So a hot tub. I saw a fireplace in the main living area. You want to go with another, like you said, an
Fire
outdoor
pit.
fire
Like,
pit?
one you can make s'mores on and stuff, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love to cook, so I would love to have an outdoor kitchen. I could probably enjoy that. And I'm sure on the
Yeah.
day it's not raining in Hawaii, that would
Yeah.
be fun. Yeah, when I said something about a company trip to Hawaii, I saw Richard and James. Everybody got excited about that. So
Yeah, you should definitely do that. That'd be very exciting.
it would. I mean, we've been to Savannah. We haven't made our way to Hawaii for the company trip yet, but we were supposed to be going to Nashville tomorrow. That got canceled for obvious reasons, but
Yeah.
we'll enjoy our weekend in Atlanta anyway. But yeah, Rich, one of our designers, had a question for you, Megan. So we were asking, will the infinity pool be suspended? So it's a little bit of a technical question. Will the infinity pool be suspended in the tree? He says we definitely can make that happen, but he's curious about the structure. So there will be some structural requirements there. Are you thinking this house will be up in the trees with the pool?
Actually, well, for the pool, I was thinking that there would be like support beams coming down to help support that because I didn't obviously think it was as well, you know, able to just be freestanding in the air.
Yeah.
So I was, yeah.
I mean, if we're talking concept, if money's not an option, I don't think we can just go wild.
This is just dreaming, James. We can go wild.
If you can make it so that we don't have to put support beams, then that would be great too. If it's anything, if we can imagine it, then.
Well, we can tap into our inner nerd and consult with the people from Star Wars because they designed tree houses for the Wookiees of the planet Kashyyyk. I think Kaylin would appreciate that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
there's at least an idea out there where these big tree houses can happen. So yeah, James, you're saying with some good support, maybe we need a big redwood tree. I don't know if they have those down in Hawaii, but we can move this to California and get a big sequoia or redwood tree.
I like it.
So if money's not an option, and we also mentioned the Jetsons here, they had the suspended houses. But if money's not an option, James, what would we do to structurally support Megan's concept?
No. Very big beams, very big metal or wooden beams to support that from either the tree or probably some center columns. I'm sure Rich will be just thrilled to specify that out for me.
Right. Well, and we'll also need a long hose to get up the tree to fill up the pool. So that'll be a requirement. But hey, we're dreaming big. We're not really looking at limitations. Yeah. Any other questions for Megan about her design? That was a good question, Rich. And how do we climb up the tree? So Christopher wants to know, how would you think about us getting up the tree, Megan, since you're the designer here? What was your plan? An elevator, rope swing, or jetpack?
Probably stairs stairs, maybe a ramp or elevator sort of feature, but yeah.
I like the idea of a big spiral staircase going up around the tree, the trunk of the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, curve the stairs like Christopher.
For sure. Curve the stairs.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Well, guys, I love it, Megan. I love your design. Can't say enough good things about it. And again, there were so many good submissions. So I'm going to go back to yours one more time just so we can end looking at that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was inspiring for us. Let me see. I'm gonna find my favorite one here. Yeah, I just love the idea of seeing this up in the trees, and we'll figure out a way to make it work as far as the support beams and spiral staircase and everything. We've got a team of creative people, and we're going to be talking to you a lot more. We will be doing another Aspiring Architect competition in the future. We'll probably do prizes again. What I've learned is we'll probably need to do more prizes and more categories because we've got so many good suggestions and submissions. But we're really proud of you, Megan. We're glad that you got to take some time with us today, this afternoon. And this was fun. And Ray, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support. Let me see if I got one more question here in the chat window. Just some more good positive vibes from our team saying, well done, Megan. So congratulations. We hope this isn't the last we hear of you. We hope that certainly we got to do the project, but we hope that we get to be involved with your professional career in the future too. Who knows where that will lead.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much again for hosting this competition and creating this opportunity and having me today.
Of course, it was inspiring for us too. Well, guys, this was a lot of fun. We're right at 40 minutes of Ask an Architect time, and we're planning to be back again next Friday at 3 p.m. With our next Ask an Architect, and we'll let you know what that topic will be. Obviously, this will be recorded and uploaded, so if you didn't get to see it live, we're looking forward to sharing this out with you later. Megan, thanks again. James, thank you for your insights on the rendering process. Kaylin and Rich and Christopher, thanks for the great questions. And Frank, I appreciate you joining us. We'll see you back again for our next Ask an Architect. We really enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Megan.
Bye.